Hello, and welcome to 5-Star Garage. If you guys been following along, we're working on Fred the 78 F-150, and I think today I'm going to try to reseal this steering box. I've already got the pitman arm nut off and the steering column coupler off, and hopefully this seal kit I got right here is the right size. Should be, and I'm gonna start pulling this thing apart and see if we can't reseal it. It's leaking on both shafts, the input and the pitman arm shaft, so see if we can make it better. And as you can tell, it's still very cold here. Still got a bunch of snow on the ground, so I'm gonna turn the heater back on and put you guys on a little time lapse for just for a few seconds and see what I can get tore into on this thing. As you can see, I got this pulled apart a little bit. These things always make one hell of a mess. You can't drain all the fluid out of it when it's together. You can get some out of it. I had it upside down in this bucket for 2 weeks now, and it barely got anything out. And then you could probably get a half quart out, and a half quart when it's on your bench and running everywhere, that's a lot. But you can get the main shaft out of it by taking the top off this plate here, and it threads into this bolt, and that's your adjuster. You have to unthread this, drive it in. To get this off with the pitman arm off the bottom, you can slide this whole shaft out, and you can replace just these seals on the bottom if you need to, if that's all you want to do. I believe ours is leaking here as well, so I don't want to just replace this bottom main shaft seal and not do this up here and have to take it back out and do it again. The only reason I'm saying that is this part down here, this is where it gets a little complicated. And it's nail puller. There's a lot of ball bearings inside this unit. If you turn this, you can see that it's moving back and forth. Once you turn this so far, the balls start falling out inside there, and you'll never get that back together without getting all them balls out of there. And it's kind of a pain in the butt. And even this part here, once you get that shaft out of this worm rack or whatever you want to call it, you have to take it apart this way and the shaft comes out one way or the other. It's kind of intricate. There's a lot of parts in there, and you got to take pictures, write it down how it comes apart. So it takes a minute, but we're gonna clean up some of this. I'm gonna try to take this seal out of the bottom, main shaft seal, get it replaced. There's washers, and I think there's 2 seals in it. Anyway, we'll go through all this mess and see what we can do and how many cuss words we can throw out there. Got the seals out of the bottom. This seal here is torn. You can see there that lip's torn off. That's your leak. That's what caused our leak. There's a seal, washer, seal, another washer, and your snap ring. That just replacing that would have taken care of probably 75% of our leak. But I'm going to go ahead and do the torturous task of getting this apart and putting the new seals in that. You have this little bracket that holds your tube in with two flathead screws holding it in, and this little tube is where your balls pass through. You see the balls right there? We're going to make one mess here. Yep. I don't remember the count of the balls, but there's quite a few of them, and there's a certain sequence you got to put them in there. I'm not looking forward to it. I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but find my magnet. Try to get some of these out of here. And I've got this all on a rag to help the balls from rolling away. For some reason I'm thinking there's like 20 something balls in here. We've got 6, 7, 6, 8, 9. I'm going to try to do this without losing anything, so you guys go back over here and watch from afar. So here's what we got on this part. The this shaft with where the balls go. It goes through this unit. I don't even remember the name of the part, but that's where your hoses return and pressure line go. There is a set screw that goes in this little hole. You got to remember not to start whaling on this until you get that set screw out of here, because that's what retains this ring. And this ring is a right hand thread, and I just took a little punch, got it moving, turned it out, then your shaft comes out and it has all these seals on it. And you can replace them if you want, you can not replace them if you want, but what we're going to do that, and I'll show you something on there to help out here in a minute. But we're going to be knocking the seals out. There's two seals. There's a dust seal and a pressure seal down there. We're going to knock those out. These little white seals here, there's 4 of them, and then there's another one right here on this rack that a guy can get by without replacing them, but you're already in here, you might as well replace them. But whenever you take those off, I try to not destroy them. Sometimes you have to, because when you put the new ones on there, you have to stretch it. And that material is not like an O-ring. It doesn't return back to its original shape or size. So when you put it on there, you have to work it easy and get it in there. And even once you work it easy and get it back in the groove, it is actually expanded a little bit too far. So when you go to slide it back in its home in the box, or this pressure end, or that's actually the pump or whatever it is. Anyway, once you go to put it back in there, that seal is expanded a little bit, so it wants to extrude and cut it when you put it in. So in the kit, you have just enough seals to do that. So if you cut it, you're buying another kit. So I have a little trick that I do to shrink those back down to size, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. I'm gonna try to knock out these seals real quick. Like I said, this outer seal is just a dust seal. It came apart 2 pieces, and that's not supposed to. Once you get that out, there is a snap ring, and if I can find my pliers, take that snap ring out, and we'll go over the next one. And I usually try to push them out from the back side with whatever tool you can find that works. And this is very hard to do one-handed with a camera, so we're going to sit you guys back up here for a second. All right, got that out. is pretty tight. And yet again, I'm getting power steering fluid everywhere. I've got a screwdriver. It wasn't intentionally made this way, but it's got a bend on the end of it. That kind of helps you get in to places like this seal to help get that out of there. That comes out real easy. Sorry you couldn't see it. Need to mount that camera on my head. But that's, your bearing is in there now. You can buy kits to replace that bearing, but typically they're not bad unless your steering box has been underwater or something, which it happens. If they sit outside without any hoses and stuff hooked to them, they can get moisture in them. We're going to match up our new stuff. That seal will need to go in first. It is actually the actual seal, and this is the dust seal. It's real, see how it's real thin? That's just the dust seal. I'm gonna check it for the outside diameter going into that unit, and then check it with the shaft. It is correct. We'll find the right size socket, and I'll be right back. I'm sure you got both those seals put in. They go in pretty easy. Socket the right size, tap that first one in, the snap ring back in, and then the dust seal, you can tap it with a hammer. You just tap it in there, and I'll go just a hair more with that socket. That should be ready for reassembly there. What are you doing? You're running into the camera. You're gonna knock it off. A guy can look at these seals, and they are not hurt at all. They still have a little compression. They stick up past the metal. So I'm going to opt not to change these. I might be screwing up. I don't know. I doubt it. But I am going to clean up the sludge off the end of this shaft, so we don't get no dirt and debris in it. It's actually pretty dang clean now, just hitting it with a rag. Yeah, okay. Put a little Earls on it. This is just going to be a quick and dirty rebuild. You also have a bearing washers that hold this washer in place, and I did not get the kit that has the bearings. It costs a little bit more. These feel fine, so there is that option to buy that if your box needs it. And that just snaps back in place. If you guys, you can't get any closer here. I'm gonna move you guys around. Show you the ring. We're gonna put this ring back in. Righty tighty. Boring. I have got transmission fluid everywhere. These Fords use transmission fluid for their power steering. You typically don't want to put power steering fluid in these Fords, because I would be afraid to do that. This power steering fluid it's kind of like a brake fluid or a hydraulic. It may do something weird to your seals. So I try to always put transmission fluid. That's what they come with in them. This piece does not have to be super tight. Because that set screw does all the work. I just kind of snug it down, make sure it rotates Do not drop your set screw, because you will never find that. Reinstall that. Snug it down. And there's that. It's super easy. I'm going to replace this seal on the end of this rack. Let me get you guys set up a little bit different so you can see that. Alright, I think you guys can see now. Ranger, get back. Please, get back. Knock the camera over. This little, I call it a cap seal. It comes from the hydraulic cylinder world. I typically take me a 6-inch measuring scale. They're pretty thin. They are kind of sharp, but if you take your time, and I don't know where I did with my ice pick. Anyway, take my time, I can get underneath here. This is a 2-piece seal. It has a cap, the outer cap seal, and then it has a loader seal underneath it, and it's rubber. I tried to work my scale underneath it like so. See, I'm underneath it. Now I can kind of work my way around, and it stretches it. And once you stretch it a little bit, you can work it off the end. That's why I wanted my ice pick wherever it went. It's probably back in the drawer. Let me grab it. I'm going to end up cutting that seal. Trying to save it. There it is. You get your ice pick, you'll have rounded edges, you won't cut it. Alright, I'll get that scale out of the way. Now we can work it. Try not to overstretch it. And you can just pop it right off there. Boop, just like that. And then your loader is, sometimes they're square, sometimes they're an O-ring. This one kind of looks square. Get underneath there, underneath that, and work it around. Pops off. It's kind of flat. It's supposed to be round, I believe. And we go to our new one. You got the outer. And you got, that is not the right one. Maybe that one is. I think so. Yep, that's the right one. If you want to check before you start putting this on, you can put the loader in there, and then you can put the cap seal in it, and just check your height, and it feels right. So what we're going to do, make sure there's no trash in it. Get that out of there. Put the O-ring in it with our ice pick. Run around a couple times. Make sure that O-ring gets relaxed in there. You don't want it twisted. Here's where the patience and easy going comes into play here, because that won't go over. You have to stretch it, and you want to use something thin like this ice pick, so you try not to overextend it, especially in one spot. You don't want to stress it. If you stress it too much in one spot, it'll get thin in that one spot and it'll fail. I just got it started, and I'll work it over. And you can tell by the way that it is, it's kind of, it moves around in there real easy, because it hasn't went back to its shape. This seal is almost like a Teflon deal, and they don't retain their shape. So what I do, well, it's metric, so my 5/16 nut driver ain't gonna work. Hold on just one second. You get the correct tool, and I'm using it's a hose clamp, but it's got an inner an inner web in here. You can use a regular hose clamp, but where they come together it has a real sharp edge, so it may damage this. This one works out real good. I don't know where I got this at, but sometimes you can take something else to go between your hose clamp and the seal. But what this is going to do is it's going to clamp on here, and it's going to press that seal back to shape. What is that? It's me squeaking. Yeah, sorry, I'm talking to Ranger. I'll tighten that down and let it sit there for a little bit, and we can while this is sitting here compressing back, we can work on something else, like organizing our chaos here. I'm going to save these just in case. I'm going to go ahead and get our other seals out. And that kit does come with new snap rings. You don't always have to use them. I think that's for that one. Alright, move that out of the way. That seal there. There is a special sequence to put these balls back in. I'm going to have to remember how to do that. So, give me a second here. Hey, you guys are back. I had to relearn myself on this. I just done this last year, but my short-term memory is bad. Anyway, I remember now we got to grease this up a little bit before we put the balls in, because you don't want the balls traveling too far inside the worm. That's about all I can do there. That doesn't look good. I had to clean the inside of this worm out. It had a lot of goo in it, black stuff, from sitting around all them years, whatever. Try to get a lot of that out, brake clean. We're going to put this male worm into the female worm. About like that. And there's like 26 balls that go in this. And some say there's different size balls in certain steering boxes. Measure them with I measured ours with a dial caliper, and they're all the same size, 1/4 inch. And I'm going to feed some of these in there. Just drop them in, and then basically just pushing them around. Try to push them with something. Hopefully. Everything will line up here. It is a pain. I started putting some of them in a while ago without the grease in it, and they go in there, but they would roll around too far. These don't want to roll at all. There we go. Yeah. Got them started, maybe it'll hold everything in place. Maybe. These are a pain in the butt. And if you do have a different size balls, you're supposed to alternate them every other one with a different size. What that does, I do not know. For some reason I remember putting that tube back in there, that split tube. I remember putting it back in there last time, and feed them in this way? I don't know. We're gonna try. If it doesn't work, you just unscrew it and try again. And you gotta have all these balls in there or this thing is not gonna work. These balls supposedly pass through this tube as you're turning. Yep, that's what it's doing. But you work it a little bit, you don't go too far either way. Hopefully we can get them fed in there. It might be a trial and error. I know usually I'm get pretty aggravated with these things. And I didn't want to pull this all the way apart, but I knew better. If I didn't tear it apart, we're going to have other issues. Like a leaking box all the time. And once you get the motor and everything back in there, this thing is not fun to get out. The four-wheel drive models are a lot easier to get in and out with the motor and everything in it, because they mount on the outside of the frame up towards the front bumper. Yep, they don't want to go in there. Six more to go. Come on, we can get them, Ranger. Yeah, we're going to get them. One way or another. Seven more, I miscounted. All right, let me fiddle with this a little bit. You guys don't want to be bored out of your minds. Be right back. All right, 30 seconds later, I got them all in there, I think. Let me make sure they ain't got a scraggler laying around here. Nope. What you got here is this little tube is split, and you pull it up out of there. It's held on by that clamp. But what I was doing, I put a few balls in each side and quit it. And I would turn this back and forth, get the balls to go down in there. And I put the tube in, and I started inserting the balls, as many as I could, and then I would turn the shaft back and forth. You don't want to go too far that way, and you don't want to go too far this way as you're turning. Just work it back and forth, and then it'll free up a little space, and you can drop a ball or two in and repeat the process until we got no balls left. Now we're going to put the hold down back in it with our screws, and then we'll take this band clamp off and see how our seal has returned to shape, hopefully. And then it's all we got to put the seals in the bottom of the sector shaft. Be right back. Can you see it? A little tappy tap tap. The first seal down in it. Don't have to go hog wild with it. All right, that one's there. When I took all this apart, I stacked everything as it came out, so we know to put it back in that order. That seal goes in first, your main heavy lip seal, and then you have a washer goes in between there, and then your other lip seal. That ain't right. There's two of them in there. Oh, railroad. This one had two in it. I was only given one in my kit. great. Yeah. That's awful thin. That's not going to take enough room up. Let me inspect this old seal. I may have to put it back in. It didn't come with enough seals. This is what I took out of it, 2 of them. And our kit only came with one. One of these thick ones, and this little thin jobby. I've got another seal kit over here. I'll look and see if I've got it. Well, as luck would have it, I do not have the right one. My other 2 kits are for a Jeep. So they're just a shade too small, like a 1/16 of an inch. So we have the first seal is new. We're going to have to reuse the better of the old ones. So that's going to go in next. Hopefully all that dimension works out as far as height and getting our snap ring in. Find out. It's gonna be close. The dust seal going in, I don't know. That's not going to work. I don't know. Gonna be close. Gonna be real close. Get this snap ring in. We're gonna give it our best effort. Get in there. All right, looks like it might be in. Yep, there it went. Tapping that snap ring into the groove. She was a taunt fit, but it's in. Good. Good deal. Ought to be wearing these. My hands are gooed. All this transmission fluid. See if we can clean this up. I'm gonna clean this up. Be right back. All right, I wire brushed the threads and the mud and stuff out there. This seal surface area is pretty scored up, rusted a little bit. You don't want to use sandpaper or emery cloth unless it's just really fine grit. I always use the Scotch-Brite. And just shoe shine it. Get it pretty okay. Then we're gonna put a little grease on it. We'll take the wind maker blower off real quick. Hold on. That looks good. A little grease on it. Nothing special, just some multi-purpose wheel bearing grease, whatever you got laying around, just to help lube them seals up. Speaking of that, we'll give a little round inside here. There's a bushing in there too that needs a little bit. There's that. You see that black stuff there? That's what's inside that box. We've also got a seal right here. in the top. Flat O-ring, square O-ring, whatever you want to call it. Clean that debris out. My hands are too big to get inside there to get all of it, but I can see it. About hammer handle. Clean some of that goo out of it. I see some more. It's hanging right up here in the shelf. Yep, bunch of black goo. Man, there's a big old thing of it down there. See if I can't do some digging. See that? Yeah. Yummy. Get out of there. Can I use your paw? It'll get in. Oh, I got my hand in it. If I get it out, that would be bad. Go to the ER with a steering box on your hand. Stuck. I bet they've never seen that before. Also got an O-ring right here in the face. You can't forget to put that in there. I'm going to do it, okay? Just to show you guys what happens when you forget that. I hope not. Alright, we got pretty much all the goo off. We'll grab that O-ring while we're thinking of it. And we'll put a little lube on it. Come on. Get out of there. Yeah, a little grease on the face of it will help hold that O-ring in it. Sits in there nice. And we're going to stick our sector shaft in it. Sit up here in this mess. That. That. Almost through, a little tappy tap. There we go. All the way through. Get her lined up. Oh, we can't do that yet, dummy. You got to put your worm in first. Idiot. We were just test fitting it. Yeah, we were just test fitting it. All right. We need to put that in. Let me get, you can't see me. Hold on. Oh. Malfunction. All right. Now, I'm going to get some tranny fluid and put on this seal. Tranny fluid. Only the best for Fred. Little Super Tech. Let's see. Out of the way. Out here. It don't need a whole lot. Does not. Little around the seal. This surface here, we're going to put a little bit in the box to help it pass through. A little more on the seal. And hoping I don't cut said seal. You see me now? I'm going to do a little light tapping on it. You got to watch that seal. Once you get it to break through, you got to look in there and make sure it didn't cut it. And it did not. If you look back in there and you see a little sliver of this, ours is blue, but this old one was yellow. If you see a sliver of that yellow sitting in there, you got to take it back out because it will not work. We're going to leave that loose. Well, we're going to have to pull that back out. Damn it. I forgot. There is a seal right here. Idiot. There's an O-ring we forgot. Sure as I don't change that, we will have issues. No problem, we figured it out before we were too far gone. Yeah, it should be this one. That in there. A little more lube. I'm not perfect, guys, okay? I forget a lot of things. My head ain't attached, so I'll forget it. Go through the same process here, boom, back together. That's orientated the right way, just like that right there. I'm gonna stick a bolt in it so that doesn't fall out. And now, turn your shaft, get my bolt a little tighter. Come on. You turn your shaft, you can watch your worm moving in there. We'll get it lined up. Let's see. Get it lined up basically in the center. You got two teeth, 3 grooves. You got 3 teeth, 2 grooves. So that is what you have to line up together. These 3 with those 3. Slide that back in there. Get your teeth to line up. Boom. That's in. Tap. Sure there's no debris in it. Our big ring goes here in that groove like so. I'll put our other bolts in. Yeah. Video's gonna be longer than I intended. Trying to make them short as I can, but trying to show somebody how to do something takes a while. I know it gets boring, but I'll shut it off and we'll come back to putting this piece on. Be right back. All right, I've got the top plate on. You have to screw this bolt, that's your adjuster. You have to screw it and it'll draw it in there. And we'll bolt it back up and then we'll adjust on it from there. Okay. Hold the bolts. This silly bracket. And I don't know why, but it has 2 different size bolts in it. 5/8 and 11/16 head. Typical Ford stuff. But I think somebody's replaced this bolt for whatever reason. Once upon a time, because it's not a machine. It almost looks like a castle nut head. Somebody's replaced it with a regular grade 5 crap. Down gently. I think we need to adjust this. Make sure that's not the bind. That one tight. That one tight. Make sure we can still spin our adjuster. Yep. Usually these kits come with a new lock nut that goes on this devil, but I guess this cheap kit did not have said nut. Well, we'll use our own one. I got the 5/8 on there. Yeah. So you got to hold this deal and run it down. Be right back. Alrighty, we got it. Got that part on, the top plate and your adjuster. I put it back where it was when I took it off. Do a little measurement there before you take your box apart. Put that adjuster back to where it was. It's a good safe start to go from. What that does, it adjusts your sector shaft where the gears mesh together. It adjusts it up and down. You turn on that bolt with your screwdriver and you can watch the sector shaft move up and down. What that does, I'm not 100% sure where it should be set, but if you set it back to where it was, you're pretty safe. If I run it down, run the bolt in, run the sector shaft down, you go to try to turn it and it puts it in too much of a bind. So I think it basically takes up some of your slack between the lash between the gears, I believe. But I ran it up and down. If I run it down this way, it gets too tight. Run it back up, it gets really loose. And you also have slop in here, which it still has slop, a little bit of slop in it. And you're going to feel that in the steering wheel. I don't know if the box is just a little bit wore. It's going to be that way. You can adjust that out, but I've heard stories of, oh, you don't ever touch that. And I've heard other people say, oh yeah, you can adjust on that. And I know I've done it before. On a Jeep I had years ago, it was a manual steering, and that thing had so much play in it, and it wasn't the steering linkage, it was the box. I could adjust on that a little bit and make it better, but not too much longer, it'd be back to slop. So it may not have been, I may have been hurting the box, what I'm trying to say. Anyway, just put it back to where it was. You may find somebody else out there that knows more than I do. I'm just showing you how to reseal the box. So don't crucify me over it for not knowing. I'm going to put the pitman arm back on it. I'm not going to put this steering coupler back on it yet. I'm going to order one of these. Hey, Ranger, it's enough. I call it a rag joint, but it is pretty bad shape, so I'm going to order one of them before I put this box in, but I am going to put the pitman arm back on it, get it tightened down, and we should be done. Yep, like new. So hopefully our box does not leak profusely like it was. And we have won. The box does steer. The balls all work, so we're in the money. All right. Hope it was loud enough for you guys. Is somebody here, Ranger? Is that where you're barking, or is it just people driving by? Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching me fumble around and get all nasty with this thing in the cold. And hope you learned something. Maybe not. Get some entertainment value out of my dumb ass. But anyway, thanks for watching, and catch us on the next one. See ya.